Black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not.
I don't know what I started to think about recording these things where they're hot and while they're on my mind instead of waiting and letting myself cool down sometimes. So I'm going to try this, and if it comes out a little bit too hot, I may have to, one or two things, either put it up on Patreon or delete it. I don't know which one, but I'm going to record this, and hopefully I don't hurt too many feelings. And we'll see how this goes. You know, I was on Art New Styles panel last night, and we're going back and forth about a bunch of different things, man. You know, about the nature of human beings, all that kind of crap, politics, all that kind of crap. The usual stuff, right? And then a brother asked me about, we got on the subject of women, especially black women, right? And I was talking to a young brother about black men and choices, right? And saying that we don't have to stick with the choices that we have. If black women aren't what we need and up to the par what we think that we deserve or need, we should make different choices. No, not saying anything at the time, not saying anything bad about them. Yeah, I wasn't. But if they're not what you want, not what you need, they're not meeting your needs, you should make different choices, like date out or go overseas, you know, the usual stuff, SYSBM, passport bros, whatever. And he kind of agreed. He had what I always called black male collective guilt. And the first thing he said is, okay, what's going to happen to the women if I leave? What's going to happen to women if black men leave and do other things? And so I said, okay, why? I said, one, they'll have to make the best of a situation. And number two, why does it matter? And he kept going back and forth that, okay, if black men leave, what will black women do? What kind of men will they have? I said, why does it matter to you? And I kept saying, why does it matter to you what kind of men they'll have? This is a big-ass country. They got 300 million people. If you leave and they don't have the black men that they used to have, hopefully they'll adapt. But that's their problem, not your problem. Why is it your problem? And he kept saying, if black men leave, then black women won't have men. I said again, why is it your problem whether they have men or not? And then I got, after that, we went back and forth with that. And I kept saying, oh, this is your psychological training that you have been trained that you must stick by black women and stick by them, because if you don't, it's your responsibility to make sure they have men. Now, they don't say it's their responsibility to make sure that you have women. because they divorce you and they talk about you and all kinds of stuff, right? And if they had a chance to make different choices, they wouldn't worry about what you're doing, okay? They don't, because when they talk about divesting, they don't talk about what's going to happen to black men if black women leave. They don't care about that. But as soon as we do it, and we have the opportunity to leave and go elsewhere, it's been proven that we do. Like I said, I was telling him that black men are in demand all over the planet now. And there's only, in billions of people, there's only 17 million black men, American black men on the planet. And we're in hot demand. There's not that many of us. We're in short supply. And I keep getting, well, if we leave them, what are they going to do? And the thing is, they don't think about that when it comes to us. They don't value us. So what does it matter? They don't value you. They complain about it, the lack of, but they don't value you. They don't. So after we went back and forth with him, and we finally got to him to admit that this is his psychological training, then me and That's anyway, we went back and forth, and he agreed with me, but he said, well, we have to understand why they are like the way they are. Why are they that way? Why are they this cantankerous group of black women that are mean to their men? And I told him, after 11 years, I'm tired of explaining why they are who they are. Okay, we've gone over that. There's books been written about why they are that they are. There's been seminars and papers and discussions for 100 years why black women are the way they are. I said, why do we keep needing to go over this, man? Back and forth about why black women are the way they are. And I'm not saying that he thought this, because I didn't go into it, so I can't say that he did. But I've heard this before. Black men have this collective guilt about why black women are the way they are, and that's why we take their mess. That's how come we take their BS. That's how come we take their crap. That's why we put up with their disrespect and low-key contempt and their attitudes and the way they talk to us and the way they talk down to us, the way they try to put us under them or beneath them. Like I was telling everybody that I didn't understand what being under a woman meant. I thought it was something positive. When I was younger, okay, that means she loves you and you're under me. That means I love her and she loves me, blah, blah, blah. But basically I found out that wasn't true. As I've gotten older and I've learned and I started to read, when a black woman says that you're under her, that means you are beneath her. And I've heard black women use that countless times, that you're under her. That means you're beneath her. Not you're under her protection, her guidance, or her love, or anything like that. Nothing positive. That means you're beneath her. And guess what? Looking back, that's the way she treats you, like you're beneath her. That's an ego boost for her. Oh, that Negro's under me. You know how it is, girl. Like you're a defective little bird that has to be protected. But like I said, this is going to be a rant, and so it might be a little disconnected. But hell, y'all listen to Sergeant Willie Pete, and he's always disconnected, and he bounces back and forth. So if you can listen to him, you can listen to me. So the reason that I'm saying this, the reason I brought this up, man, I am getting so freaking tired of this. Okay, I'm getting tired of this black male collective guilt about their women and thinking that the way their women are is your fault. It's not your fault. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. No matter how much they try to blame you, you did not do it. You didn't fight a war and lose it. You didn't fight no war and lose it. That's not why you were enslaved. That's not why she was enslaved. There wasn't no white invading army that came in and conquered all these black folks and then dragged the black men and women and children off to America. That's not how it was done. It was done by your own people. Your own people, one by one, went to villages, went to towns, waited for you to be on the road out in the forest and snatched you up, hauled you off, put you on a boat and sent you here. You were sold by your own folks. White folks didn't enslave you. Your own people enslaved you. Now, white folks kept you enslaved, Once you were there, preserved you like a freaking product. Once you were there, but you didn't enslave yourself. You didn't lose a war. You weren't conquered. You were sold. There's nothing to feel guilty about. And then once you were sold, you were bred. It's like blaming a cow for being a cow and being milked or being slaughtered like an animal, right? That's what you were bred for. That cow did not choose to be in that barn and be slaughtered. That cow was not walking through the forest one day and lose a fight to a man and wind up in the barn. Neither did you. It's not your fault that black people are in the position that they're in. We're not China. China was conquered by white folks, but they weren't snatched off and brought into slavery. And even at that, even though you were sold by your own folks, betrayed by your own people, put on boats and shipped over here, you never stopped fighting. You have never stopped fighting. That's why people are impressed. You never stopped fighting. It's like when white folks finally gave up. White folks finally gave up because you never stopped fighting. You never accepted being a slave. You never accepted your position. And you won. No matter what people think of it, you actually won. Which amazes the whole entire world. That's why they look to you. That's why they look at you as a anomaly, as a wonder, because you won. Now, did you take over the whole United States? No, you didn't. But the people that were here that did get conquered, that did get eliminated, that did get deleted off this landmass, nobody talks about them. Their women don't say that they're conquered people. Their women don't call them defective. Now, they were here. This was their land that white people took. They actually fought and died trying to protect their land. They lost, but their women don't call them basically losers and conquered, all that other kind of crap that our women call us, and look at us like we're supposed to protect them. It was our fault that the white men did what a lot of what black men got hung and disappeared trying to protect their wives from the white man. Disappeared, and if we hadn't been there, it'd have been 10 times worse. They were outnumbered more than 10 to 1. That happens over India every day. It's still to this day to their women. Why? Because you're outnumbered, and they're not even outnumbered. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. And logic says that you don't have much of a chance being outnumbered 10 to 1, and especially when they have all the weapons and all the tools and all the materials. In military science, that means you're gonna be under. Your only choice is to leave, which I think we should leave, but that's just me, because this position where we are is untenable, and actually it's going to get worse because they keep importing people to put over you. Why do you think people are so upset about the H-1B visas? Okay, they're bringing in elites to replace you. That's what people are upset. That's what black people are upset about. Especially black women. That's what they're upset about. But like I said, I don't want to go too far down that branch because I want to stay on the line that I am. So what I'm saying is, regardless of how she is, and this is something that was said last night, there's a reason she is the way she is. But guess what? The reason she is the way she is not your fault. You're not responsible for the reason she is the way she is. The people that made her that way, are responsible for it. And when black men try to change the way that she is and change the way that she acts and change how the way that she gets down, they fought us because they like being the way they are. They like being that way towards you. They like talking to you that way. White woman don't talk to her man that way. The Latino don't talk to the Latino that way. They don't talk to him that way. They don't. No place on the planet does the assigned woman to that man treat and talk to her man the way the American black woman talks to her man. And that's fine. If she does that, she does that. For whatever reason, she does it. That's fine. I'm not even arguing that she should or shouldn't, right? That's fine. If that's the way you want to talk to your man, that's the way you want to be, that's all good. But black men, I'm saying you ain't got to take it. It ain't your fault. And I also will say, if you like it and you'll accept it, you know what? I love it. If you like it, I love it. But stop with this collective guilt that It's your fault for the way she is and the way she is because you didn't make her that way. The white collective and the trauma that she been under made her that way. But guess what? She didn't go through that trauma by herself. You were right alongside her. In fact, it was worse on you. Most of those people in there, I'm not saying all, 99% of those people in them trees swinging from them ropes are you. 99% of the people that got disappeared in them woods and in them swamps was you. 99% of the people that actually go to prison by this justice system, oppressive justice system, is you. They don't do that to her. They do that to you. You have way more trauma than she does. But does she give you a break? No, she doesn't. Does she talk kindly to you and understand? No, she doesn't. Does she want to be better for you? No, she doesn't. Does she try to heal your wounds? No, she doesn't. Does she try to keep you out of jail? No, she doesn't. I said that last night. Every time I see a black man falsely accused that's been wrongly convicted and put in prison, and I see him walk out with his lawyer that's been fighting for him for 15, 20 years to get him out of prison, it's never a black woman. It's always a white woman. Pissed me off for 60 years. That your woman who claims that she loves you so much and she will die for you, don't even want to get you out of prison. She had, if you've been in jail for 20 years or you've been in jail for 25 years, she had time to go and get herself a law degree. She could have got herself a law degree and started working on your case. Or she could have got together with other black women, started working on your case. She didn't do that. They didn't do that. They didn't work on your case. They might put a few dollars on your books for a couple of years, and all of a sudden, well, he's just gone. He's not coming out. So I need to go on and live my life. And that's what they do. And I have no issue with that. But don't come here that you're the most faithful, the most loyal, and the most down, because you're not. Tired of that lie. You're not. You've been using black men as a stepping stone, as a step stool for hundreds of years. This happened way back after even before the Civil War, but even slavery. We use black men as a stepping stool. The thing is, after emancipation, because we're not even counted in slavery. We're not even count that. First time black men start getting the vote, guess what? You start siding with the white women. Now, when it affected you, you work with us. But every time we look up, you right next to Becky, working with Becky. And Becky, you help Becky get what she wants, and Becky turn on you. The same woman that you were with getting the right to vote, the same woman that turned around and started passing laws to keep you from voting. Same woman that helped you, or supposedly helped you get civil rights, was the same woman lining up with her plate to get the bulk of civil rights and affirmative action for herself. It's called feminism. Same woman that's trying to roll up the ladder and burn down the ladder so that you can't ascend like she did once she got what she wanted. Then you turn around and point at us like we did something. Like you shouldn't have let Becky do what she did. We're saying you shouldn't have worked with Becky in the first place. Y'all worked so hard to be able to legally have Brad and Mr. Charlie marry you so that you can cross the color line and get married and be with who you really want to be with. And then as soon as black men decided, okay, well, you run that right, and you won that privilege, we're going to take the same privilege. And when we do it better than you, you get mad. Like, you can do it, you have a right to do it, and we don't. And then you blame featureism, colorism, hairism, all that kind of stuff, which is something that you taught your little boys. Men don't grow up that way. Black men don't grow up that way. I'm saying that black men hate black women and hate the way they look, hate their hair, hate their bodies. And black men have the widest dating choices of any group of men on the planet. In fact, so much so, they say black men have a lack of standards because we accept the wide variance of body types. We said most of our black women are either obese or considered, they're considered medically obese. They're considered medically overweight, 80%. And we still date you and marry you. But we hate you. We hate your hair. 80% of black women have 4C hair. But you swear to God that black men hate 4C hair. Most black men say they want you to have your own natural hair. They don't want the weave or whatever that you put on top of your head. You blame that on us. Black men tell you, why don't you let us take charge and let us take the front. And let us, since we're taking the bullets anyway, why don't you just get behind us and do what we say? And you refuse that for 100 years. Because you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to get your black man told. You want us to get behind you. Unless there's dogs and bullets and police sticks, okay, then you're going to push us out front. Then you can say, how come we don't get out front and take the beating for you? All black men know, and I've said this, I'm not saying all, the majority of black women will leave a black man in a heartbeat if a white man was an option, was a real option. She would. That's my opinion. She would. And she says it under her breath. The only reason she does it is because she's afraid of going to the other side and contending with Becky in Becky's arena with her man. That's what she's afraid of. If she could get Brad and she could get the elevation and status that Brad had, she'd take it in a heartbeat. That's the secret. That's the real deal. That almost broke Kevin. I saw it. I saw a couple times when that was actually brought up. It almost broke Kevin. He's fighting hard to keep black men and black women together. That was his whole mission. He got these upscale black men, and I want them to have upscale quality black women. He said out of their own mouths, they don't belong to us. That damn near broke him. He was so upset. He was so disheartened. Regardless of what black women say about him, Kevin believed that black men and black women need to come together and fix this black community, which most black men do. I get that all the time. I get it all the time. And I'm getting sick of it. Everybody agrees that the black community in America is broken. Everybody believes that the past trauma has to be healed. Everybody does. Has to be healed. But what happens? Everybody collectively says it's the black man's fault that it is. It's the black man's fault that this happened or let it happen. And it's the black man's responsibility to make her change. Not make her change, force her to change. Because personally, I believe she doesn't want to change by herself. That's what I believe personally. She don't want to change. And I am getting tired of it. Personally, I'm getting tired of it. That black men, or black men especially, white men don't think that way. Asian men don't think that way. Black men are the only men on the planet that think we have the ability to change our women. That we have the ability to change our women. And not by tying them down and forcing them to change. No, by doing something superhuman and extraordinary that no man has ever done before. And all of a sudden, if we magically become these gods that we're always meant to be, I got thoughts on that, about that kind of hubris that we share, or this delusion that we share, that all of a sudden they're going to be the conducive women that we see across the planet. And I know that the environment makes a woman. Now, if you can change the environment, you can change the woman. But you can't. In fact, I was telling that to the young brother last night. You don't have the ability to change the environment, especially as a black man in America. You don't have the ability to change the environment. You don't have that kind of control. But what can you do? You can change the environment that you're in. You can move. You can relocate. You can change who you deal with. You can't change the environment, but you can change the environment that you're in by moving, because you're mobile. You're not a tree. A tree can't change the environment. And a tree can't change its environment by moving. But as a human being, as a man, you can. Especially as a modern man. No, it doesn't take centuries or decades or eons. It takes hours to change the environment that you're in. I said, okay, if you live up in Buffalo, New York, where it's snowing, and you don't like the cold, what do? He said, well, I get up and I move to someplace where it's warmer, like Florida, where it doesn't snow. How come you can't do that with the situation that you're in with your women? You can't change the conditions. You can't change the environment. And the environment, the only thing that can change her is the environment. You can't change this. So what do? You have to go someplace else. You got to either change the environment that you're in, like Passport Bros, or get a different type of woman that's conducive to the environment that you're in. And it's not your fault that your woman is the way that she is, okay? You're not like that way. You've been through the same trauma that she's been through. The exact same trauma that she's been through. In fact, you've been through worse trauma than she's been through. You don't treat her like that. She talks to you like a dog. You don't talk to your women like dogs. You don't blame everything on them. You don't. Now you call out their behavior when it's necessary, which they don't like, so that you can correct what's wrong. If something's going wrong, you need to call it out. You need to call it out. You need to find a way to correct it. And black men do that in spades. But they don't want to be corrected or be correct is because they like the way they are. You cannot do anything about that. Black women like who they are. They like what they do, which is why they pick men in the first place, because they don't want to starve to death. They don't want them and their kids to struggle financially. But they like being who they are. They like doing what they do. They don't want to be so-called under a man. They don't mind you being under her in certain situations, but they don't want to be under you. So why should you care if she ain't got nobody? Why should you care? But if we leave, then they'll change. Why would you care whether they changed or not? We're not trying to prove a legal case here. At this point, we're not trying to prove that. If you want to be the way you want to be, fine. Be that way. You have every right to be that way. Be the snarky, condescending, sign language using woman that you've been for 200 years. You have every right to be that way. But we don't have the responsibility to put up with you. So I'm trying to get brothers to understand. If you don't want to change, that's on you. If you don't want to treat us the way every other woman on the planet treats their men, that's on you. If you like having your foot on your man's neck, that's on you. I'm saying to man, why do you let her put her foot on your neck? Why do you work so hard to make her see you differently? And she doesn't want to see you differently. She wants to see you exactly the way she sees you. And just play that thing about a 300-pound woman saying what she deserves and how you should treat her. And she gives nothing in return. She doesn't even try to lose weight for you. She thinks throwing on a wig and throwing on makeup qualifies her. And you should be happy to be in her presence and accept her abuse. It's like Whoopi Goldberg says, the black men come on our bodies, and this is kind of discussions we have with them. So it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Everybody's shocked. You actually like the way they talk to you, and black men say no. But then again, we're guilted into staying with them. We're guilted. We're guilted into staying with these women. And every time you talk about it, everybody talk about making a different decision. Not saying that you're going to abuse them. Not saying that you're going to hurt them. Not saying that you're going to all of a sudden lob bombs and burn down the building as you leave. You didn't say all that. All you said is you're going to make a different choice and choose different women. And the collective guilt, okay, if we make different choices and we leave, what's going to happen to them? Why do you care? Are they going to therapy? That's another thing. We'll get to that in a second. But are they trying to entice you to stay? No, they're not. As you leave, what they're trying to do is badmouth you to the women over there and saying that you are undesirable. That if black men can't make it work with her, then what makes you think that they're going to be desired when they go over there with you? If we don't want them, why do you want them? The first thing they say, we don't want them, why do you want them? Why are you taking our garbage? In fact, that's what Filipino people was saying. That why do you care if these men that you say that you don't want come be with us? If we dig in your dustbin and take and value the garbage that you throw out, which is your man, why are you concerned? You didn't want him. Why are you concerned where he goes? You said out of your mouths that if you could get rid of them, you would. All over the planet. Every time a black man goes someplace, first thing they try to convince you is that those women don't want you. Those women will use you. Those women will do worse to you than we do. So accept our abuse. Our abuse is loving abuse, is because we abuse you because we love you. And nobody's going to love you like we love you. And black men go overseas, find out, oh, that is not true. Her pretend is better than your love. Whether she loves me or not, her pretend is better than your love. I get more out of her by her pretending to love me than I actually get from you actually loving me. And you know what? I'll take the treatment. I don't care whether her heart's in it or not. I will take the treatment. I will take what I get from her and how she treats me over your sincerity. Well, let's get to this about them caring, about them wanting us, about them wanting so-called us to stay with them. Like I said, if black women really wanted to be with us, they would compete. If black women really cared about what we've been through, they wouldn't be the worst woman on the planet, they'd be the best woman on the planet. If black women really were concerned about what you've been through and cared about the trauma that you've been through, they would be nurturing, they would be guiding, they would be helpful. Why is it your oppressor, your oppressor's woman treats you better than she does? Why is that? Your oppressor woman, if she is into you, will actually give you a better chance and a better opportunity and better love and better treatment than she does. Why is that? The first thing that a black woman would say is that I'm more educated, I'm more elevated, I'm more healed than you. But how does that help the black community? How does that help the black man in the black community? How does it help black children, especially black boy children? Every time they try to do something for black men and black boys and black male children, guess who the first person to stand in the way of it is? It's not the white woman. It's not the white man. It's the black woman. Because what she's saying is we like them where they are. Sounds a lot like the old South. To me, it sounds a lot like the old racist South. We like our Negroes where they are. Don't come down here and put ideas into their heads. That's why they don't like the black manosphere. You're putting ideas into their heads. We like our black men where they are. We like our black men underneath us. We like to be able to talk crap about our black men and blame them for everything. We like that. And what are you guys bringing all these facts and statistics and real life drama and showing us in the worst light of about how we really are instead of the lies that we tell? And the lies that we tell are, black men know who black women really are. That's why I get sick of it. You're raised in the family, you know exactly who you're dealing with. And then you pretend like there's something that they're not. So you basically, this is co-delusion. They tell the lie, they're deluded, and we go along with it. And then we repeat the delusion and the lie that they just told. And you know, doggone well, that is not true. Coming out of your mouth, that is not true. And as soon as we get tired of the mean and snarky and condescending treatment that we get from black women, if we want to bounce, then not only do they say, woe is me, black men say, woe is them. You got to understand the sisters and what they've been through. You got to understand the sisters and why they are who they are. The black woman doesn't do it for you. She don't come out and educated and enlightened and go to therapy to be a better woman for you. In fact, she comes out worse towards you. She get an education, she go to school, she take therapy, she take these psychology courses, and then she blames you about how come you're not as good as her. She comes out worse, which is why black women that are educated have a hard time staying with a man. She comes out worse. That's why she's a single mother. That's how the average black marriage only lasts 5 years. And the first thing they say, there's not enough good black men to go around, or there's not enough black men to go around. Not enough black men on my level. And when you look at the stats and you look at the data, in every category, there's more black men at that level than there are black women. Economically, everything except education, which we have nothing to do with. The white man has control over that. We don't. We don't have control over the education. Black women and white men and white women have control over the educational system. And basically, they oppress the boys. That part we don't have control over. But everything else, we're there. There's a shortage of black men to marry. And because they go to jail and they're down low or whatever else they say, 55% of black men don't have kids or are not married. If you look at the marriage rates, 65% of black men are not married. They're not. They're not married. There's plenty of black men to marry. There's plenty of black men to mate with. There's plenty of black men to get together with. The marriage rate when we're actually under worse conditions was 90%. Had a 90% marriage rate. So the white man started giving her economic benefits. And all of a sudden that started to dwindle. That means you didn't want to be married to the man in the first place. He was there for a reason. In other words, you were bought out. That contract was broken because now I don't need to be underneath that man anymore. I didn't want to be underneath him in the first place, which I knew that from talking to my grandmother. They were under you because they had to be. As soon as they didn't have to be, guess what they did? They started to bounce. Now, culturally, like my mother They were raised that the marriage was more important than the man. So that's why they stayed married. But did she teach that to my sisters? No. Did my sister's generation teach it to their girls? No. That's why the marriage rate for black women went from 90% down into the 20s. Not because black men did anything, it's because they didn't want to be underneath it. They don't want to be married. It shows up in the stats, in the numbers. Black women are actually the most divorced and least married in the United States. And they're the only ones that are the most divorced and the least married. The only ones. And nobody's even close. But everybody else is to blame except for who? Black women. They're the ones that actually make the choice. So I'm getting sick of it. Oh, if we were just better, if we could just man up, if we were more alpha, if we could just oppose the white man, if we would just make different choices, if we would just take the woman that likes us. My mother told me that a long time. I told my mother that a couple days ago, right? I said, the one great dating advice that you gave me when I was a teenager, find the woman that likes you. Don't mess with the woman that don't like you. Date only the women that like you. Pick out of the pool of the women that like you. I have done that my whole entire life. If there's a pool of women that don't like me, guess what? I don't mess with them. If there's nothing but threes that like me, guess what? I guess I'm going to deal with the threes. I'm not going to take a 10 just because she's a 10. I'm going to take a woman that likes me. I'm not going to try to force a woman that don't like me to take me or accept me. I don't rock that way. And it's my belief. And if black women as a whole don't like me, trust and believe, if black women didn't like me, guess what? I wouldn't mess with them. And knowing what I know now, if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't mess with black women at all. I wouldn't. When you come up and that's all you know, for the most part, now I was around white women with seeing as I was socialized to be with black women. I'm attracted to black women. That's how come I've dealt with them for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've had all of it, the good, bad, and ugly. But pragmatically, I probably wouldn't do it again. And I'm telling brothers, if you want to deal with a black woman, that's perfectly fine. And I've said that. But you have to accept them for who they are. Stop trying to make them change. Stop trying to be something different to make them be something different. Stop all that. If they're acceptable to you, they're acceptable to your mission, they're acceptable to what you like, by all means, take them. Stop trying to make them be something different. Stop trying to make excuses for them, okay? Nobody cares why they are who they are, right? If they're in therapy and they're elevated, then and they're getting all the money, and my mentor, she's pro-black woman. In fact, we still talking about you better pick a black woman. You had to listen to that. She's pro-black woman. And she says black women have control of the society. Black women have control over the children. Black women, for the most part, the money is funneled through the black woman, not through you. It's been that way for a very long time. The money's funneled through them, purposely funneled through them. Affirmative action, all of the education, all those rights are funneled through them. Okay, they have control. What have they done with it? They want control. What have they done with it? If Kamala Harris had gotten elected, what would that have done for you as a black man, as a group? In Harris County, where Houston is, they elected 41 black judges. Guess what? More black men went to prison, in jail and prison, because those judges were on the bench. Did it help the black men get a better shake by the judges being in that position? No, it did not. Nothing changed. Those 41 black judges going around the country promoting the black family and actually going out and actually trying to put together like justice programs to get innocent black men out of jail, or even black men that are coming out of jail, get them back integrated into society? No. Are they promoting justice programs to get black men their rights back? No, they're not. Why? Because they don't care. Because I said this last night. The reason you see all these young women want scammers and drug dealers and all these other kind of folks that are shady is because they're disposable. They give them what they want. When they're used up, they dispose of them and go get another one. They're built to be disposable. That's what they're built for. They're built to be disposable. That's why they like them. That's why I can tell you the reason that most black men, especially in the 80s, became drug dealers and scammers and stuff like that is because they were attractive to black women. A lot of reason guys picked up a sack and sold dope is because he couldn't get women any other way. But as soon as he got the swag, he got the dope swag, they came. And so he kept doing it. That perpetuated a whole sector of black men that are tattooed down and carry that kind of dope dealing swag. And guess who gets blamed for it? Black men get blamed for it. Oh, y'all just violent, y'all just that way. No, this is the way you socialized us. And then you give it to your little boys that you got to be that way. And then when something happens with these guys, with the environment, with the community, then it's black men are just violent, black men are just no good. And first thing we say, well, if that is the case, how come you don't leave? How come you don't go find other men? We know the truth is because it's not us. They know where the problem is. They know what the situation is. Guess what? They don't want to change. They like who they are. That's the secret. So when they go to therapy, they're not going to therapy to be better for you. They go to therapy to be able to deal with the psychological defects inside themselves, right? So they can feel better about themselves. They don't go to therapy for you. They go to therapy to be better to themselves, to like themselves better. And guess what? When they like themselves better, they treat you worse. There ain't nothing worse than a so-called healed woman, healed black woman. Healed black woman is going to treat you worse than the non-healed black woman because their demands are going to be more. Then she's going to demand that you go to therapy. She's going to demand that you be better. She's going to demand that you meet her where she is. And she's going to treat you like you further down on the list than you actually were. Doesn't help you. She can't help you be better. All these healed black women don't help you be better. They don't. You go to a black female therapist, you might as well be going to a parole officer. I have all these so-called black psychologists and black therapists and psychological therapists that spout something. Very, you can count the ones that actually there to help black men on one hand. The closest that you might have is the two that I can think of. Shahrazad Ali is the only one that I can think of, and she's not a therapist. Frances Cress Welsing is maybe she was fair. I couldn't say that she was 100% trying to help black men, but maybe she's the closest. All the other chicks, man, they're about black female empowerment and uplifting the female and making black women feel about themselves, good about themselves. They ain't trying to help you. They ain't getting those degrees in therapy to help you, to make you feel better, to help you. Collectively, I hear white women give you better advice than black women. I'm just going to say it's real. White women will give you better advice about how to heal yourself than a black female therapist would. Because what black female therapists are in business to do is teach black women how to be better than you. That's their whole point, how to be better than you, how to put you further down on the totem pole. Cheyenne Bryant, so-called guru, right? Talked about black male and female relationships. First thing she said one thing that I knew where she was as far as black male and female relationships. She said what the social order is: white men, black women, black men, and white women. Told me all I needed to know. She wanted to put you and Becky underneath her, which most black women do. They want to put you and Becky underneath her. And Becky will laugh and joke and talk, but guess what? Becky's not going to allow that. One thing I can say about the old-fashioned gynocrats, which they're dying out, or maybe they've already died out, is because black men were beneath them and under them, but at least they had some Christian compassion for black men as a group. Whether they respected us or not, whether they liked us or not, but they had Christian compassion for black men. And not for black men, but for black boys. Every now and again, you see some Christian compassion for black boys and black men, especially when it came up against the white power structure. Most of that does not exist anymore. And in a relationship with black women, then you really see that you are beneath them and they treat you that way. Like I'm saying, if that is what you like and that's what you wish, that's fine. But black women are not here to empower you. They're not. And they'll tell you that they're not here to empower you. They believe that you're there to empower them. They want to take from you to elevate themselves. You can see that in politics. That's why they voted for Barack Obama. They said, oh, he's with a black woman, strong black woman that talks about him like a dog. So we're going to use Michelle and Barack to elevate ourselves. The hell with elevating your man, elevating your boys, developing programs for your kids, for your black boys. They've been talking, Conjuva has been talking about that for the past 50 years, elevating black boys. It's not new. Moynihan and Clark talked about the exact same thing for the past 60, 70 years. It's not new. Black women like black men where you are, where they are. She likes black men where they are, but she doesn't want to admit that she does. She wants to, the reason that black men are where they are is because it's black men's fault if they would only be better. And when you start climbing the ladder, she starts chopping the rungs to make sure that you can only ascend so far. And if you do get to a certain level, they want to climb up over you and ascend. They want to step on you to get over you. So they can get closer to Brad, Chad, and Becky, and Karen. Anyhow, man, this rant's probably gone on too long as it is. But man, you know, this is what I really want to say. I'll end with this. If black women really wanted you, really wanted to keep you, really wanted to actually heal your trauma, they would actually invest and try to be better. They see examples all over the world about how to be better. The first thing they do is ridicule other women, other groups of women for being soft on you. The first person to punch you in the chest is not your father. First person to punch you in your chest is your mother. First person to disrespect you, and I can tell you that wasn't my father, it was my mother. That you got to get used to this disrespect. You got to get used to us talking to you this way. You got to get used to us downing you and making you feel lesser. She wouldn't tolerate, but the thing is, she expects you to let her do it. She expects that you're going to play this emotional labor role for her for free. Not only expect it, but also demand it. But she does the opposite for Brad and Chad and the white man. I guess everybody has a role, right? Basically, all the world is a stage and everybody has a part in it, right? And I guess this is our part when we're dealing with black women. They not only do they not try, I don't think they want to try, personally. So in other words, it ain't your fault. If they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to, they could. They see the examples of how other women treat you and they jump all over them for treating you that way. How dare you interfere with our Negroes and show them that there's a better way to be treated by women. They hate that. So how come they don't want to see the passport bro videos about how other women treat their man because they don't want him to get any wise ideas. They don't want him to get enlightened that there's a different way to be treated by your women. Anyhow, that's all I got. This is BG Sign. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.